Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Humor Career Insights. We have an amazing schedule coming up this year, and before anything else, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening and following Humor Career Insights on Spotify, Apple, or whichever channel you prefer. I met a listener who said they follow on Amazon Music. Thank you for watching on YouTube, which is our new platform. Please do subscribe on YouTube. We now have video, so you can watch there if you prefer. Thank you for sharing this podcast with your networks. Hello, friends, and welcome to this week's Batje's Take. And this week, I'm going to share my reflections on such an amazing conversation that I had with Wani Joana Kahasha, where we spoke about building businesses in fragile contexts. That conversation was really incredible. It was a story of resilience and hope. Really one of those conversations that stays with you long after the recording ends. And I highly recommend that if you haven't listened to it, please go back just 2 episodes and take a quick listen. There were so many quotable moments, and I kept writing down quotations from this, and I'm going to share a few, and then I'm going to go into my 3 big takeaways. So here goes. Quotation number 1. A dream that turned into a plan and a plan into a product. This was in reference to the business that Wani started. It's called a Pis du Kivu, which is Kivu spice. The next one was, you don't know what you don't know. The next one, the ATM will show you flames. And the last one was, when I found myself at Harvard, I really believed that I could be anything. So inspirational. And then there was the image that really stayed with me, which now I have these fire round questions when I do in this season, entrepreneurship as a career choice. I have some fun questions at the end of the conversation. And one of the questions I asked Wani was, if you had a billboard on the busiest street in DRC, what would you have written on that billboard? And she said, c'est ça, probablement, Tian for. Excuse my French. I mean, literally, excuse my French. So in English, that means hang in there. This too shall pass. Like literally, this too shall pass. And what a strong reminder that there's always tomorrow. So I walked away from the episode with 3 big takeaways. The first was resilience. Wani's story is really one of resilience, and it reminded me just how important resilience is, especially right now. We are seeing so many job losses, particularly in the humanitarian field. Careers are being disrupted, roles are ending, and at the same time, on the entrepreneurship side, you're seeing a lot of businesses that are struggling, failing. The economies are quite difficult, and resilience is needed just to keep going. What really struck me in Wani's story is that her business was not disrupted because of poor planning or lack of effort. It was disrupted by war. And that's an important reminder that sometimes you fail or your business fails, not because you did something wrong, but because of forces completely beyond your control. And when that happens, you are often forced to reinvent yourself, to rethink who you are, what you bring, and what comes next. Wani's journey is a reminder that failure does not mean the end. Sometimes it's just the beginning of something new. And in Wani's case, that something new was Kivu Impact Center that gives resources, trains the youth in DRC. It trains them on digital transformation, AI, technology, the future of work, which leads to my second big takeaway. And that was youth empowerment and women's leadership. I'll start with the challenges that the women faced on the farm that provided the chili for Epis de Kivu. So one of the most powerful moments in our conversation was when Wani spoke about the challenges the women faced while working on these farms. Their husbands would harass them, interrupting their work and stealing time from the women who were trying to build something of their own. Wani addressed the issue in a way that was both practical and culturally grounded. Such strong lessons. She went to a pastor and asked him to speak about it, to preach that the women were doing good work and that their husbands should support them, not interfere. And it worked. because there was a cultural grounding to this. After those sermons, the women were able to come to work in peace without the constant disruption they had been experiencing. When it comes to the youth, Wani said something that struck a deep chord because, there's this conversation, and it's actually quite real, that Africa is rising, but the biggest asset that Africa has is the youth. And she said that Africa's youth is its gold, but that gold has to be refined, it has to be equipped, it has to be trained. That is why her work now, empowering young people through skills and opportunity, matters so much. My third takeaway was that the ecosystem matters. This takeaway really made me pause because Wani was talking about being heavy on roads, the physical roads, the infrastructure, mobility, exposure. But as I reflected on this, I realized that physical roads don't just connect places, they create this exposure which leads to a growth mindset. So open roads allow people to travel, to see more, to experience more. And that exposure changes how you think, how you plan, how you see things, how you define success. And you see the world in a bigger light. It was quite powerful to realize that open roads can create open minds. And she said it simply: you do not know what you do not know. The ecosystem, roads, systems, access, stability plays a huge role in success. Talent alone is not enough. Hard work alone is not enough. The environment matters. This conversation reminded me of the human face of entrepreneurship, of dreams that are carefully built, but where the plans are disrupted by fragile contexts, whether it be war or any sort of fragile context. But the people keep going anyway. And that is the resilience that is needed. Resilience that is needed to build something new and to keep building it. Resilience that is needed when a career is disrupted unexpectedly. And you have to keep going. You have to keep searching for new opportunities. Just the importance of resilience. Until next time, friends, stay inspired.